Everybody Hates Baseball has got to be one of the best episodes of Everybody Hates Chris. In case you don't know about the show, it follows four archetypical personalities in American television as old as the Honeymooners, Flintstones, Archie Bunker, the Jeffersons, Sex and the City, Living Single, Facts of Life, Designing Women, Noah's Ark, all these shows that have these four basic archetype personalities. How can I call them? The anchor description of each character is very slightly, hopefully at least, across all of these different television series and across these decades. But I'm wondering if some of the stories are regurgitated, because certainly the personalities are regurgitated between the airhead, which is sometimes the artist, the prude, which is sometimes the traditionalist, that's in touch with the old culture, the slut, the loose one, and the driven one, the career-driven. And this is why a bulk of these shows shifted towards that, that include that through women, portraying these characters through women, as you saw society shift, and of course, people of color. And so you look at a show like Everybody Hates Chris, where I think, as opposed to Sex and the City, where you have the airhead person who's always getting in these dilemmas, you have Chris at the center of this show. You have the grouchy mother, who portrays, she's in Honeymooners, she even, if you look at her, she even does some of those, like faces from the Honeymooners. And so the shows borrow heavily, I Love Lucy, again, the same. And for at one point you saw in the 50s was the two partner, the two sets of partners. That was one of the biggest tropes of this four archetypes. In the period that I, grew up in the 80s, and then in the 90s, it was mostly women. Mostly women that could be so emotional, because think somebody as dumb as a Barney Rubble. You've seen that character over and over and over and over and over again. Look at Living Single. Who's the Barney Rubble in that show? The airhead neighbor. And then you have the career-driven ones, the ones that play Dorothy from the Golden Girls. That character is split, and I think you should also understand that a lot of these characterizations are put into different composites. So you have Erica Alexander plays the lawyer, and she often, hits off with her male counterpart. I think that show eloquently split that personality into a female and male counterpart. So then you ask, well, who's Khadijah? And then, you know who Rosine is. She's Blanche. And it's over and over and over again. So if you went through the same thing with Designing Women, with Sex and the City, with Noah's Ark, you'd come up with these same personalities. Now, again, bring it back to Everybody Hates Chris. So you have Drew, who is the Blanche. What was her name in Designing Women, who always who always sat there with her breast, filing her nails? What was her name? Who gained and lost weight and all that, was on the television shows worse than Oprah. Look at this fat cow, sitting on the sofa. Was it Delta Burke? And so we really embrace, look at these personalities, these personality types in our culture. And so I would venture to say that these personality types you would probably find in Greek mythology. They feel and seem that old. And so in Everybody Hates Chris, when I look at this Everybody Hates Baseball, where you see one of the few instances where there's black male bonding, that's outright what this episode was about, so much so that it ended in a bar. And people can contest, well, it's in a bar, blah blah blah. But what their father is able to say to the boys is, there are circles where everybody is welcome. And though he may interact or not even interact at all with some of those fools in that bar in another space, but because of that space, and that's why he also taught them to respect that space. And this is something that we teach domesticity in this way, but when we look at public space, the space of men. Well, this is, a show where we rarely see that comfort zone in that space, and it was organized around the iconic tropes of masculinity, a bar, baseball, downtroddenness, but finding a way, in American ingenious way, finding a way to get over, and everything just being okay. It's classic American TV. So I was thinking recently, like, if I were to put, like they have a space capsule, and they have all these greetings that they sent out from planet Earth, and basically given the time when they did that kind of thing, you can understand the kind of planet Earth that it represented. I wonder now if we sent out such a time capsule of what we looked like, and if I wanted to really characterize television, like for German television, for example, the format would have to be a crime show. And it would even be something along the lines of CSI, or they have, although German television mimics those shows directly, they had the indigenous German shows are much better, deeper, and it's just a whole different narrative. And so for Germany there's that, but for America there's the sitcom. That is our thing, that you can solve a problem in 22 minutes. It's like bam. Now you see with it, it's gotten to the click, problem solved culture, or the turn the table, turn the channel kind of culture of instantaneous gratification. But it's interesting to see that these narratives over and over, so there's a narrative, in Sex and the City, there's a narrative of gender identity and modernity. In Facts of Life, there is, it's a coming of age. Everybody Hates Chris is a coming of age. Golden Girls, it was a coming of age, because they were in a sense, in many ways, very juvenile in their sexualities. Lying about their ages, colluding, spying, being untrusting, unloving, pushing away loved ones. They were pretty juvenile, all these shows. The same thing with the Honeymooners, Archie Bunker, the Jeffersons. You think, what the heck's wrong with that ego? But that's America. That's how we contend. And there are some much deeper narratives we can look. We can look at Harry Potter. It goes on and on and on. We can look at Spider-Man. We can look at Superman. We can look at X-Men, and you see these same archetype characters.